What's going on YouTube? Diggy546. I talked about this last week about how you have to have the mindset to come out and dominate these teams that are not as good as a team as you. Um, I'm not even sure. I think this 12 on the screen ended up becoming an 18. It did. So I'll just fix it just so people don't talk about it. Whatever. But the game's over. There's about 2 minutes left. I feel bad for the people that went to this game, a Giants home game. Um, People were leaving at the beginning of the fourth quarter, which I don't agree with. I feel like you got to stay there. It was a three possession game at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Stay and watch what happens because we had a legitimate outside shot at coming back and being in this game if Isaiah Hodgins doesn't fumble that ball. But I'm not gonna blame this game on him because first off, you got two bad interceptions from Daniel Jones. They wasted two drives. That first one, uh, it cost us 7 points. It was what gave Detroit the momentum to go out there and put points on the board. So the first one was no good. He didn't see Aiden Hutchinson, and it just happened. Um, so many ways that I can go with this game, but the thing that stands out to me, the two things that stand out to me at the top of the list, is coaching. And when I say coaching, I mean the fact that you have Adoree Jackson out there returning punts, and this guy runs into a pile of three or four people and gets crunched up, and his knee is out, his knee is gone, and he's getting his knees out. You guys get what I'm saying. The guy sprains his MCL because he's back there returning punts when he's your only starting level cornerback, and you have him out there returning punts. It makes no sense. Um, I'm not taking credit away from Detroit at all because the Lions came out and they played a good game today. They established the line of scrimmage. I mean, I can talk about what happened with Adoree Jackson. I can talk about what happened with Wan'Dale getting hurt, even though the game probably was out of hand by the time he got hurt. We had an outside shot, but it was a small chance. Um, I'm not even going to talk about the our second corner, Fabian Moreau getting hurt. Both of our top two corners got hurt. I won't even talk about the fact that we didn't have Evan Neal and we didn't have this, and then even the starting center, the starting left guard, and the starting right tackle that we rolled out there all got hurt. Even with that, Dexter Lawrence played the whole game. Leonard Williams played the whole game. Kayvon Thibodeau played most of the game. Um, our front line was there. Aziz wasn't there, but he hasn't been there for most of the year. So we can't talk about that. This defensive line did nothing. They did nothing. Um, they stopped a couple of runs for a loss, but on a high note, they did nothing. Like because you look at this, Jared Goff was back there patting the ball, back there doing his thing, back there just relaxed, no sacks, 150 something yards rushing, if not more, because I think they had another run at the end of the game that put them up by more, maybe 170 something yards rushing, and they just dominated this entire game. They dominated the line of scrimmage. The defensive line got bullied. Our offensive line, yes, we had injuries there. You got Matt Parrott out there. You got Shane Lemieux out there just scrubbing it up. And that goes back to coaching because why is Shane Lemieux in the game when Azudu has been playing for he hasn't played the whole season, but he's played more this season than Lemieux. And besides that one game early on in the season, Azudu has not been a horrible player. Lemieux came in this game and immediately killed two drives, three drives. We could not run behind him. We couldn't pass behind him. He was bad. And listen, I like Shane Lemieux as a person. He's been a Giant for a while. You root for the guy, but he had to get out a lot earlier than he got out. We didn't put him out of the game until the third quarter. And like I mentioned the Dory Jackson thing, um, Galladay finally got a couple of passes. At the end of the game, we saw him have a vintage Galladay catch, and we consistently don't go towards him. I don't know if that's a coaching thing or a Daniel Jones thing, but We don't go at Galladay. We don't throw the ball to him. We just don't throw the ball to him. We don't utilize him. When he's covered, he's open, but they still have not realized that, and we're 2 years in. When he's covered, he's open. Throw him the ball. You can throw him the ball in tight windows. He's gonna hold on to it. Now all this running drags and letting him catch it. Sometimes players drop the ball, but he's a guy that you have to get involved early and often in the game plan. Once you do that, he's money the rest of the game. But don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. You know, let's just continue to pile on Galladay when he hasn't gotten an opportunity to play the same game that he's played his whole career. The same way he's played the game his whole career in the NFL, we have never given him a chance to do that. So yeah, we can get mad at him when he drops passes, and he's accountable for that 100%. But why do we never give him an opportunity to play football the way he's played, the way he's played football that made us give him this contract? We have never given him an opportunity to do it. So I mean, that's one thing. Uh, Injuries is a whole other thing, and I'm not blaming the reason we lost because we just didn't come to play on the defensive line. I'll say there's no way that we can never just lose a game the regular way. We always have to lose a game and lose like five people to injury. Like it's always like the cherry on top is that we get to lose Wan'Dale for the season. We lose Adoree for 3 to 5 weeks. We lose Tyree Phillips, who's our backup right tackle. We lose Feliciano for the game. We lose I think there are some more people. We lose Fabian Moreau. We lose Pinnock, Justin Pinnock. Um, who did we not lose? It's like literally the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And then in that first half, it seems like we weren't getting the calls that we needed to get. We were supposed to be getting a lot of the calls that just didn't go our way. And it looks like the Giants after that they just kind of hung it up. And that's another thing I spoke about last week is when you have your coach out there shouting about calls and shouting about that all the time and so invested in that, your team starts to look at that and they start to take that victim mentality. They start to take that mentality as like we can't do anything. We you know we they're calling these plays against us. They're having these flags go out, and they're not throwing flags against the other team, and they take the victim mentality. So it is what it is, but it just seems like they just checked out after they didn't get those calls in the first half because right after that second quarter, where I think Wan'Dale got tackled and we didn't get a penalty, they just kind of checked out. It wasn't the same energy after that. Daniel Jones looked elite. I mean, on fire to start this game, all the way up until when he ran that touchdown in. After that, he still looked pretty good most of the game. Besides the couple of plays he made that were bad, and the two plays he made that were bad, one gave up 7 points, and then one gave up one we forced him to punt, but he gave up an opportunity to score. So I mean, you take a loss, you take a loss. 7-3. This puts us. I think Washington has won 6 games, so I think this puts us. If I can take a look right here, Giants are 7-3. Eagles are 10-1. I think they just won today, or maybe they're 9-1. But let's see, that's 10 games. 10 games. The Eagles have had their bye. I think the Eagles had their bye. So yeah, I think the Eagles are 9-1. Um, Giants 7-3. Cowboys, if they win tomorrow, they'll be 7-3. Commanders are 6-5. So that puts them one win behind us. And the way that the schedule is looking out, we could end up being last in the NFC East. Which I mean is kind of like jumping far ahead of myself, but I also have to be real. I mean, we're 2 games in front of Washington right now. We play them twice without Adoree Jackson, probably. We play the Cowboys once, we play the Eagles once, and we play the Vikings. Those are our next 5 games that Adoree Jackson is slated to miss because of that MCL sprain, because we decided to put him on punt return. So that's the next 5 games. Hopefully we can get Evan Neal back. Hopefully we can get Aziz back soon because we're going to need them. And we cannot keep having these disappearing acts on the defensive line. Thibodeau's a rookie. I got to give him a whole year and a half, 2 years almost for pass rushers sometimes to become those guys. But he disappears entirely too much in the pass game. I know Wink Martindale calls him the guy that does things so other people can succeed, but other people didn't succeed today. So that means you weren't being a decoy properly and you weren't making plays yourself properly. So, he's got to show up soon. We need him to show up soon. We need Aziz to be fresh and make an impact when he comes back. Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, they push the pocket sometimes, but it didn't really translate to anything. He was able to kind of sidestep them consistently because we had no pressure from the edges. They were able to run the ball easily. Just all around, just every time we lose a game, it can never just be a loss. We also have to deal with the fact that, a person has lost the rest of their season, has tore up a ligament or tore something up to where they're going to be missing time. And I don't know, me as a fan, it doesn't only hurt me as a fan to say like, oh no, we're going to lose them for this amount of games. That stinks. It's just like players are getting hurt on this raggedy field that we call MetLife Stadium. They're getting hurt on that turf that's about this thick. It's sitting on top of concrete and the turf is about this thick and pebbles are flying up in the air and you can't step on something too hard without your feet sliding. People who have played on turf, uh, I'm just telling you, man, you can't go anywhere without your feet sliding around. It's ridiculous. And I really think that is a huge reason why we're looking at Wan'Dale, who probably tore his ACL, and we're looking at Adoree, who messed up his MCL, who sprained his MCL. So it's a reason we have so many MCL sprains. And I know some people are going to try to Google it and say like, oh, this injury happened in this stadium or this injury happens in this stadium. It's not about that. It's about going from the turf in your home stadium to having to play on another type of surface, to having to play on another type of surface, to having to play on another type of surface. Is just too much. The NFL needs to make all of the surfaces grass. That needs to be universal because it is too out of hand that all these players are getting hurt. And the fact that the Giants have not made a quicker move, they're going to go to artificial grass. But the fact that they have not made the move to go to real grass when they see that this affects their players the most every single year is mind-boggling to me. It's really ridiculous. You don't care about the well-being of your players. You care about putting on concerts and events. And this is just me ranting at this point. This isn't even about the game. It's just about player safety that I noticed because players on both sides, whenever they play in our stadium, it's ridiculous. So we took a loss, 7-3. Got the Cowboys coming up. Hopefully we can pull a miracle off. We can get to 8 wins there. It makes the rest of the season a lot easier. But sitting there at 7 wins, we got a tough 5 games coming up, and then we got the Colts and the Eagles after that. So we got a tough 7 games. One of the toughest schedules for the rest of the year. All these teams are playing well. Like none of these teams are playing bad football. So we got to figure out how to make something happen. We got to get back to running the ball. Detroit came out, and by the way, Detroit came out and completely shut down the running game. I was just so sure that Saquon Barkley would come out and get his 60 yards he needed to get to 1,000, and he just got completely shut down. Completely silenced. Completely silenced. 22 yards on 15 carries, shut down. So, that's that. It is what it is. We'll see if we can come back and get some more of this going. And we cannot. I mean, this would be a awful, awful looking collapse. Hopefully, we can turn this around.